10 years ago, on the 25th of October 2014, I released the original Rastan Battle of the Ports video that ran at 30 frames per second in 720p and only featured 8 versions of the game. Time for a remastering in 1080p at 60 frames per second and covering 11 versions of the game. Rastan first released into Japanese arcades in March 1987, then worldwide a month later. In Japan and Europe, the game is known as Rastan Saga, while in the US, Taito dropped the Saga part of the title. You control Rastan, the ruler of his kingdom. Rastan is able to attack via various weapons, swinging from ropes, climbing vines and chains, and of course, jump. By using the joystick in combination with either button, the player can determine the height of Rastan's jumps as well as the direction he swings his weapon. The game uses a health gauge system along with limited lives. Although certain obstacles such as water or spikes will instantly kill Rastan regardless of how much health he has left. Within the game there are a total of 6 rounds, each consisting of 3 areas: an outdoor scene, a castle scene and a throne room, where the player must confront the stage's boss. The backgrounds of the outdoor areas feature broad landscapes with changing sunlight effects. The very first port of Rastan came to the MSX2 on April 8, 1988 and was developed in-house by Taito. This version of the game came out on a 2 megabit ROM cartridge, although there are disk images of it floating around on the net. First impressions are very good with this port. The background graphics look quite nice, as does Rastan himself. But what on earth happened to the enemies? They all look like they were ported from some uncompleted MSX1 version of the game. Truly a poor effort there. As you may have noticed, the level design has somewhat changed from the arcade version. This may be due to the game not scrolling anymore. Actually, this is quite annoying, as you will often find yourself placed onto a new screen with no way to avoid an enemy hit. The controls are also quite stiff, which really doesn't help with jumping from platform to platform. I can imagine this is also why they made it so you don't instantly die when touching water or other instant kill objects. There were a few 8-bit home micro ports from Imagine Software. Let's start off with the very first of them on the Commodore 64. This game looks quite ugly compared to the previous MSX2 version and doesn't really play much better. However, it does contain a very good rendition of the Rastan soundtrack by Martin Galway. The stage design and the one death rule for certain objects follows that of the arcade, unlike the MSX2 version, which is nice to see, but I do get the feeling that the collision detection is off at times. Actually, early previews of this game looked way more in line with the arcade version. I wonder if that also played better. ZX Spectrum time, and it's actually a good time. We get some nice chunky sized sprites that do well to replicate those of the arcade within the confinements of the ZX Spectrum hardware. There's even some parallax scrolling in here, which is cool to see. Gameplay wise, it's about as good as you can get. Sure, the scrolling isn't as smooth as the C64, but the game does feel more responsive, which I'd like to take any day over smooth scrolling. Unfortunately, the enemies do tend to blend into the background at times, so you'll need to be extra vigilant when playing this version of Rastan. The CPC version looks really nice in stills, but once it starts moving, you soon notice how poor of a conversion this is. The game runs at a snail's pace. It's so low, I'd call it unplayable at times. The audio is also a major disappointment as well. Both the C64 and the ZX Spectrum versions have music during gameplay. This only has the bare minimum of sound effects. This truly is a poor effort. The Master System port was the first console version and was developed in-house by Taito, but released by Sega. For sure, Taito have based this Master System port upon their earlier MSX2 release, as the stage design closely follows that one, plus we have all the same game changes, such as no longer having instant deaths when you touch water. Unlike the MSX2 version though, this Master System port plays really well and is a lot of fun. You may be thinking that the audio in this footage is strange. Well, that's because hidden inside the Master System game is the FM soundtrack, even though the game was never released in Japan. 1990 brought us the Apple II GS version of Rastan, developed by Nova Logic. And what a fantastic port this is! The graphics and audio are arcade quality, and really did surprise me at how good they were. It's just a shame that Nova Logic didn't get the enemy AI down correctly, as in this port you are often overwhelmed by enemies. Now you may think I'm playing very poorly, and you'd be right. As always, I'm having issues with the controls due to the Apple II GS emulators not liking any of my joysticks or Razer keyboard. Also by Nova Logic was the MS-DOS version that comes in CGA and VGA modes. This is the VGA mode you're seeing here. It's very much like the Apple II GS version, but now with more background details. Unfortunately, the colours are not as impressive as the Apple II GS version, and neither is the sound. However, the gameplay is well done, making this one of the better playing ports of Rastan. The only portable version that was an emulation came to the Game Gear on August 9, 1991 from Taito. However, this isn't a Game Gear game as such. It's actually just the Master System code in the Game Gear cartridge with the FM audio removed. The odd thing about this one is that it was only released in Japan, while the Master System version was not released in Japan. Back when the Atari ST was still a viable platform, there was a conversion of Rastan in the works by Ocean. This is that very early development version of the previously unknown conversion of Rastan to the Atari ST. Sadly, there are no enemies and some animation frames are missing, while climbing ropes for example. There's also no sound and the colour palette retouching is mostly undone. In 2023, an unofficial port of the game was released to the Amiga using the Scorpion engine. This port runs on a stock Amiga 500 with 1MB of memory. Graphically, it's looking really nice with some good improvements over the arcade original, especially inside the castle areas. We also get simultaneous music and sound effects, which is always nice to see in an Amiga game. There's still a lot of work to go into this port as to be expected. Hopefully the developers can address the slowdown issues and the fact that you can't hit upwards without jumping due to up still being assigned to jump, despite having a dedicated jump button. The devs need to take jump off the up direction to really get the gameplay down to how it should be. Fingers crossed they will. Let's take a look at all those versions of Rastan running side by side.